sometimes when I'm typing, I will make a typo, which is pretty normal. But sometimes they're kind of funny words or they're funny misspellings of words. Like recently, I was trying to type an email that said, sounds good, and I added an extra H after the S. So it really said, sounds good. And I immediately just like, without even thinking about it, I read that in my head in a Sean Connery accent.
Naturally.
I just said, sounds good. It was just so funny because it was just so knee-jerk. Another one that happened was I was trying to write software, and instead of like W-A-R at the end, I put like where as in where is Susan, W-H-E-R-E. And that one is less defendable because that's just dumb, but it was funny to be like, software? Soft who? Software? Anyways, on to the show.
On to the show.
Well, you might remember I pulled my back last Sunday. Not really doing anything, just walking. I've been more or less dealing with that the whole week. Monday morning, before work, I went to see my chiropractor, Dr. Deborah White, at Advanced Chiropractic.
The official chiropractor of Highlights.
So I went to see her bright and early Monday morning and got an adjustment, which already helped right then. I got another adjustment on Tuesday and another one on Wednesday and another one on Friday. All of those helped immensely. I know there's lots of hate and misunderstandings regarding chiropractic. And to be clear, there are lots of bad chiropractors. And my chiropractor would tell you that. There are lots of bad, kooky, weird, unscientific chiropractors. But there are some good ones too. And things like this really help prove the point that, like, I went in there in terrible pain on Monday, and I walked out, and over the course of just even a few days, my improvement was massive. Because I went from like a 3 or a 4 or 5 in the pain scale to a 2 or 1. Getting lots of sleep also helped. I tried to get as much sleep as I could the whole week. I tried to do some stretches in the mornings. I hate stretching at any time, but those really helped. So I kept doing them. All in all, I'm a lot better. I'm at like a 1-ish now on the pain scale. I have started working out again. We have a Planet Fitness subscription. We don't use it as often as we should, which frankly is kind of built into their business model. But we like it pretty well. Frankly, I mostly just do cardio. In fact, I would say the primary draw for me going to the gym is actually catching up on my YouTube playlist. Because I listen to tons of podcasts throughout the week while I'm working and doing whatever else, but I don't generally dedicate very much time to just sitting down and watching YouTube videos. And so the gym is actually the best way to catch up on that, because I can just watch them while I'm on the treadmill or doing elliptical or whatever else. But this has been a good kind of kick in the pants to remind me to get back in the gym. Being physically strong and fit is generally a great way to kind of ward off back problems, especially like the one I had where it's mostly just caused by weak back and by sitting down a lot. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any particular strain that I put on it, other than the kind of strain of day-to-day life.
Generally, our bodies are quite a bit of strain themselves.
Yeah. Shelby and I are both overweight, and of course, eating better is certainly the quickest way to lose weight, and the best way, probably. But there is still a lot of benefit, I think, from working out. And I know that even mentally I feel much better, and I feel much more sharp and quick.
Certainly.
Anyways, a lot of follow-up there. Overall, I'm much, 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 much better. I'd say like 95% better.
Yay.
Yay. Anyways, Work was fine this week. I'm still kind of trying to catch up from the bass tournament. I found out one of my cube mates is leaving for a better job, which really surprised me. He has been at the company for 12 years, which is hard to imagine because that is half of my entire lifetime.
Wow, yeah.
So I was 12 when he started at the company. But he is kind of our OSHA compliance safety manager kind of person. And he's going on to do that for an insurance company. And his new job is like way better. He gets to work from home half the time. He gets to travel half the time. He gets a company car. He gets all his stuff per diemed. It pays more. The benefits are better. He gets double the holidays. I mean, it's honestly crazy how much better his new job is.
It really makes Elliot look like garbage.
Yeah, it kind of does. Frankly, our HR manager was like, I'm not talking to you anymore. They're good friends, and she is very jealous of him. And we all are. I mean, we are all like super happy for him because it'll just be so much better for him. He'll get to spend more time at home. He'll get to see his family more. It'll be wonderful, but it really isn't fair. It is fair, though, because he's worked hard. And he's very talented. My surprise at his leaving was kind of validated when he talked to us about it more. He actually wasn't looking for anything else or applying anywhere else. Someone just recommended him. That I guess they knew the company had an opening for this kind of position, and they said, hey, I know this guy. He's great for it. And so the job honestly just fell into his lap. And so it kind of does make sense that he wasn't really looking for it, and that's partially why it caught him off guard and the rest of us off guard too. But we'll miss him a lot. We had a going away lunch for him at Butcher Boys. Yeah. Another bit of news at work. Our president decided to kind of test some solar panels on top of our corporate office. We actually have 2 new buildings that are going up right now, and those are not getting solar panels. I'm not exactly sure why.
What?
But basically, he's putting solar panels on the old building, and I think he's just kind of see how it goes. I was actually intrigued because I was talking to our construction manager, and he was a bit skeptical. Not that they work, like everyone knows they work, but just how long it might take to recoup that investment. I suppose we're not the best environment here in Nacogdoches for that because we have rain fairly often, and so there's not as many clear skies as you might hope. You know, most of the big solar farms are in West Texas or New Mexico or Arizona or Utah, California, places where there's a lot more clear weather. The construction manager was kind of hesitant about it. I mean, he was excited that it was happening. He just didn't know how easily it would pay off.
This is dumb, but clear skies never really seemed necessary to me in my mind for solar panels, even though, obviously. But to me, it was like, well, is there sun out? Yes? Great. But that's not really how that works, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details. You probably still get some charge when it's cloudy.
Sure.
Probably would depend on how thick the clouds are. But certainly it works best when it's nice clear days. And I wouldn't be surprised if humidity affects that too. We're in a very humid climate here in East Texas. This is wild speculation, just to be clear. I have no idea about any of this. But to me, it would make sense if humidity would negatively affect the amount of power you could get from solar panels, just because it's making the atmosphere thicker.
Yeah, I mean, light doesn't travel as well through water, and we have a lot of water in our air, so that seems to make sense to me. My work week has been pretty normal. Everything's going steady for me. I've got dogs. I've got kids. I'm working up at Mom's office. Everything's the same.
Cool. Our family's had a couple different events this weekend. My little brother had 2 soccer games. We only got to make one of them, but I do know he scored a goal at each one.
He scored the first goal at the first game. We were so proud. I also got to take Princess, our little dog, to the game. And she doesn't go on many, I guess you could say, social outings. She's very friendly, but not particularly interested in other dogs. And other dogs are always very interested in her.
And she gets tired too.
She does get tired. It's really cute. She attracts attention, especially of children. And she's super willing and up for it. And she's more than happy to be held and tossed around. But after a few hours of it, she gets visibly tired and will just try to go hide somewhere. Or she'll fake an injury. She's done that to me before. She's very deceptive.
Yeah, she kind of just wanders off, lays down, sticks her tongue out.
Yeah. Anyways, she came with us to the game, and she was very cute. And all of the people sitting around us just loved her. And whenever Philip would score a goal, I'd kind of hold her up and, like she was talking, say, "Go, Philip! Go, Philip!" I thought it was very cute. And Philip liked it too, so.
Kind of your classic white people talking for their dogs.
Yes.
Kind of situation.
Yes. Other family events. Last week, we talked about my grandfather getting married. So today, actually, we had he and Brenda's wedding reception. Since the wedding itself was extremely small, my mom hosted a reception for friends and some family. And I think it went pretty well. There were a lot of people there. And I know that Papa and Brenda felt very blessed by the love that was around them and the support around them. And that was cool to see, to get to see how many people love and care about them both.
Yeah, I'd say at the height there were probably 40 people there.
Probably so. And I made punch, and it was really good punch. Nate wasn't a big fan of it.
No.
Everyone else loved it. I mean, I think I had 6 people come up and tell me it was the best punch they'd ever had. So, I'm pretty pleased. One could say, I'm pleased as punch. That's a saying, right? Pleased as punch?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It just came to me in the moment, so.
Oh, I have a pun later.
Later?
Yeah, I just thought of one for later.
Okay.
Maybe we should have like a pun budget for each episode.
A pun segment?
No, a budget. Like we can't go over the budget.
Oh.
It's like a limit.
That seems smart.
Because we want the episode to be listenable.
Oh, do we? Oh, okay. I guess I missed that memo. I would love to be quick on the draw, be able to come up with good comebacks, quick little remarks, but I am not good at that. If you've ever heard me quote a show or reference something or anything like that, I always screw it up every time. I'll get really close. I'll get close enough to where you probably know what I'm talking about, but it's really far off from what it actually is. And unfortunately, that affects me in my pun creation as well.
Yeah, you'll get close enough to where they kind of have to work to catch up to what you're referencing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that work absolutely kills any like laughter or funniness that they would have had in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
So they still get it, but the work of trying to be like, is that what she means? Is this what she's talking about? Does she mean this? All of that kind of stuff. It makes it difficult to just kind of spontaneously laugh.
It does. I'm also a very bad storyteller and a very bad joke teller.
You're going to be great at podcast.
I'm such a good podcaster, y'all. Oh my goodness. I never seem to know where to start in a story.
Have you tried the beginning?
Well, I usually start at what I consider to be the beginning, and then I realize, oh, there's some backstory. And then I have to cover the backstory, and I never really know if the backstory is worth it or not. here I am telling a story about how bad I am at storytelling, and I'm bored by this story that I'm telling right now.
Good.
Why don't we move on? I recently got an email from Ancestry.com letting me know that there were some upcoming changes to my DNA results.
Has your DNA changed since they last tested it?
Well, no, but the data changes. Ooh, data.
Would you call it big data?
What?
I'm just thinking of like buzzwords we can put in, like big data.
Big data. Is that like big pharma? What is it? Big pharma? Big tobacco?
No, like big data. I'm trying to think of other.
Could you call it big data? I don't know what you mean. You know, big data?
Well, it's like a buzzword. It's like machine learning. Like anytime, like basically any product anyone needs to sell right now that has anything to do with software, you need to say that it uses machine learning or smart AI or big data.
Okay, I guess I didn't know big data was a buzzword.
Yeah,
Clearly, it's a buzzword in parts of the internet that I am not in.
I think it's like a buzzword from like 2013. Like I think it's kind of over now. Like I think machine learning is kind of the new big buzzword, but it's still there.
Anyways, whenever I last tested my data,
big data,
I got super generic, boring, white results, which I knew that was generally what my DNA was, but I was hoping for like some details. I mean, I could tell you I'm white. That's what I could tell you. And that's pretty much the only thing that Ancestry.com told me.
Yeah, just Western European generic white.
Pretty much exactly, yes. Whenever I first got my results a couple years ago, the big one was just West Europe. That was all it said. That's not super detailed. That doesn't tell me anything I didn't already know. I got Irish/Scottish, which I didn't know, so that was interesting. And then it also had general Scandinavia. That's interesting. I also kind of knew that. Anyway, so I got this email, and exactly what I wanted is what has happened. My data has just gotten a little bit more specific. I can now see that I'm specifically from England and Wales, Ireland, Sweden, and Norway. And I'm just excited to have just a little bit more data than I did before.
Big data.
Big data. It's neat. I like this stuff. I'm excited to have a little bit more data.
Big data.
Than I had before.
Yeah, so I guess that's all the family updates, both current and past. Church this morning was somewhat eventful. We joined the church officially.
Yay!
Which was nice. We've been going there for a few months now, so it's nice to make it Facebook official. During the middle of the sermon, we heard this big crash. I would almost describe it like when you're in a really, really, really big building and the air conditioning comes on. It's like a whoosh almost. But a little bit like an explosion too. Like it was all that wrapped up. It wasn't physically very loud in the sanctuary where we were sitting, but you could tell that it was a loud sound. The pastor just kind of kept preaching, which I think was the right move because none of us had any information on it. Anyways, but then shortly there was kind of a commotion in the back. He stopped preaching. He went back there. A few of the people went back there as well to kind of investigate because it became apparent that something had happened. Something had gone down. Anyways, we walk out there and one of our church members, a very sweet elderly lady, was pulling into a parking spot on the outside of the church, on the outside wall, and made a somewhat common mistake in these kind of accidents where she hit the accelerator instead of the brake pedal. So she was already kind of in motion pulling into a kind of a slanted parking spot. right where our bookstore is. And so then she just hit the accelerator and crashed all the way into the church pretty much. There was maybe a foot or two of her car in the back that was outside, but it was like fully, firmly in the bookstore.
It was impressive.
I haven't seen anything like it, honestly. It smashed the window, smashed the bricks, probably ruined some books on the inside. Thankfully, no one was hurt. No one was in the bookstore at the time. The lady that was driving was okay. Frankly, the car looked like it was in great shape, considering all the damage that was done.
Yeah, considering it drove into a brick wall.
Right. But she was okay. I mean, she was very shaken up and probably embarrassed.
She was taken to the hospital to get checked out and everything, but she's fine.
But all of the emergency staff were there very quickly. The fire trucks, the cops, the paramedics, the tow truck. They were all there very timely. Generally, it was kind of an organized-ish scene, as much as you can expect. After a few minutes, the leadership that was there just kind of decided, you know what? This is a kind of a big shock for everyone. Now there's a huge hole in the church. Let's go ahead and cancel the rest of the service. We kind of prayed out, canceled Bible studies, canceled the second service. And they actually invited anyone who was kind of, handy with tools to come help make a temporary wall.
Yeah, by the time this was wrapping up was the time when people would have been arriving for life groups between services. So there were plenty of people still there from first service and plenty of people arriving for the latter part of church. So they did ask, instead of church, if any of y'all are able to stay and help build a temporary wall, that'd be great.
We had to go help Shelby's family set up for the reception. Even if we didn't have that, I probably still would have left. I am not particularly inclined to being a good handyman, and I think I would have just gotten in the way.
Yeah, we both tend to be in the way in situations like this.
I can paint, but I don't think that would have helped in this kind of situation.
Maybe not. Probably not.
Yeah, so we went ahead and left and just got out of everyone's hair. But thankfully, everyone was okay. It was quite a scene, though. I'll probably put some photos in the show notes, which you can find at haydeans.com/highlights.
It was kind of a bummer. We had already, I guess, announced our membership in the first service and then didn't get to it all for the second service. So I guess now we are half members.
Yeah, we'll have to go back another Sunday and join the church again for the second service. Oh, pun time. People were kind of remarking about what a unique Sunday we chose to join the church.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately responded to one of them, yeah, it was smashing. Da-da-da. Pun.
I just think it was too soon.
But see, that's why it was good pun, because it was actually very on the nose.
It was certainly topical, but too soon.
Topical and quick on the draw.
Sure. Good job, honey.
We do have a couple new pieces of stuff on the website. I've been very behind on editing, both videos and photos and writing, everything, but really. So I'm just trying to catch up and get my head above water. I posted one picture of a Porsche that I saw in our parking lot. It's not really anything particularly special, but I don't know, it's kind of cool. We don't see Porsches very often around Nacogdoches. Also, I was helping the media team at the church film the announcements video. And one of the new items at the coffee shop in our church is an Italian cream soda.
Yum.
And so we took some B-roll of like me stirring the Italian cream soda, like to mix all the cream into it.
It was very good footage.
They have a nice background there. They have a nice wooden bar and yeah. Anyway, so we just had some B-roll of that, and I just decided to put some jazz music on top of it and just post it as a kind of silly little video. Anyway, so there's a couple little new pieces posted. Hopefully we'll have more stuff going up soon. Well, I guess our last topic for today will be about some movies. I watched 3 movies this week, which is unusual.
That's about 3 times more than we watch in a month.
No, we usually watch like one a month. Somewhere.
Remember that one time we were both sick and we just watched movies forever and ever and ever?
We became full-time movie watchers, yeah.
Yeah.
We watched Wreck-It Ralph last night with my family. Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
I like the first Wreck-It Ralph movie pretty well. You know, as far as like fun, animated family movies go. And so I'd kind of been wanting to see the second one. We had a free code for a Redbox, so we rented that and watched it with the family.
Thanks, T-Mobile.
Yeah, T-Mobile has like some giveaways on Tuesdays, and oftentimes there's a free Redbox code. Anyways, I thought the movie was surprisingly good, especially given that it's a sequel. Like, most sequels are terrible across the board.
I liked it a lot. It was one of those family movies that is definitely catering to the adults. I quite liked it.
Yeah, it was good. The next 2 movies I saw were Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame. I am not going to spoil anything, but if you are like extremely sensitive to that, you can just stop the podcast right now, I guess. But once again, I'm not going to say anything that is spoilery at all. We saw Captain Marvel primarily because I was going to see Avengers Endgame, and I figured that was probably important to see it. I like Captain Marvel. I mean, it felt kind of like a generic Marvel superhero movie.
It was pretty cliche, but I liked it too.
One of the weaknesses of the movie was that I didn't feel like they really defined her powers very well. A lot of people that I listen to on podcasts are very much Marvel connoisseurs. They have been reading the comics. They've been reading the comics since they were a kid, in the 80s or something. I don't have that kind of history. I've really only watched the movies. I didn't really know who Captain Marvel was, which is kind of why I wanted to see the movie, because I wanted to understand her. I didn't see Doctor Strange, and whenever we went to watch the last Avengers movie, that was kind of confusing because I didn't really know what his powers were either. And so I didn't want to repeat that, so I went to see Captain Marvel, and I didn't really feel like they explained any of her powers.
No, and they certainly didn't explain the origin of her stuff. Well, that's not true. They kind of did, but...
Kind of. I mean, like, they just kind of, like, said, like, generically, like, okay, she got this power from here, and then she also got it from a different place, too. And, and she can just kind of, like, fly around and do stuff and is powerful. Like, it's almost like Superman. Like, it's just, like, nondescript, like, sometimes she glows and then she can do awesome stuff, like fly and hit stuff. But she's not necessarily super strong. That's my big complaint with the movie, was just that they didn't really flesh out, like, what exactly can she do? And contrast that to, like, the early Iron Man movies. All of the Iron Man movies were talking about, okay, in this movie, here's the story about Iron Man, but also here are the technical parts of his suit. Like, his suit can do this, but it can't do that. Like in the first movie, he learns that he needs to build in de-icing technology, because if you go up super high, then it freezes and ices and it can cause problems to your suit. And that is important to the plot at one point. And then in the next movie, he makes a better suit. And the third movie, he improves upon it. He's always making a new, like, power system. That's kind of a lot of the drama around it.
And suddenly, he has 50 suits.
Yeah, and eventually, he, like, makes a bunch of suits and they're all automated. But either way, my point about that was that it gets into the details about what the specialties and the limitations of his powers are. And that was completely missing in Captain Marvel. Despite all that criticism, I did like the movie. Like I said, it was just kind of generic or cliche. I was going to see Avengers with my best friend Trey. Shelby wasn't able to go. So she hasn't seen it yet. Avengers Endgame is the last movie in the big saga of recent Marvel movies. I think Iron Man came out in 2010-ish. And that kind of started... Well, I guess Hulk really started before then. But this kind of wraps up the Avengers movies. It wraps up Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. All this stuff has been going on for years and years and years.
Frankly, too long.
Arguably too long. And it's kind of time to put a big bow in it. They will still continue to make movies and shows. So this is probably the culmination of, probably 20 different movies in total?
Probably.
So bringing an end to a story that big and, frankly, that important to Disney is a pretty big task. I thought, all in all, it actually held up pretty well. It got silly in parts, sillier than I would like. But that's kind of on brand for Avengers. I don't know when it was, but at some point they kind of just started making fun of themselves. And that just kind of became part of the Marvel brand, which is fine. But anyways, I really did think it did a very good job of kind of taking all these storylines together, putting them together in some kind of cohesive way, and wrapping it all up. I'm not sure if I'd ever watch it again, but it really was better than I was expecting, and I was kind of, all in all, pleasantly surprised.
Well, I'll need to watch it, so you can at least watch it with me then.
Yeah, I suppose. One of the podcasters I listen to, his kind of benchmark for how good a movie is how much he thinks about it afterwards. So if he ever watches a bad movie, he just kind of like goes in and goes out and he doesn't think about it anymore. Whereas for him, if he watches a movie and then kind of like keeps thinking about it the next day or the next week, then he kind of generally regards that as a better movie.
That's dumb. Who is that?
Merlin.
I respect Merlin, but that's crazy.
We love you, Merlin. Anyways, he does several different podcasts that I listen to. But using the, I guess, Merlin scale rating of movies, I have thought about that movie several different times today.
The Merlin method?
Sure, the Merlin method. Using the Merlin method movie meter. There we go. Using the Merlin method movie meter.
Using
the 4M technique. The movie has held up and has kind of entered my mind unprompted several different times today, where I would think about a character or think about a scene or think about how that person was feeling. All right, well, we are sitting at 50 minutes in total. Anything else we need to wrap up?
Nope.
All righty. See you next time.